Okay, I think it's going to go live. Okay, so it now is live streaming. I've just got to double check to make sure that it's actually live streaming. It's very awesome now it is. Okay. Okay, so welcome everyone. We'll have our speakers in shortly. As I'm not sure if any of the three of you are from the list of speakers, because I haven't actually been introduced to the speakers yet, but I'm having some logins now. So it's good. The live stream's working. The account itself has been sorted out. The list of speakers has been prepared, and the audio is working. So it's good that most of the stuff has been kind of sorted out. So this was originally due to start at 8 o'clock, but as one of our first speaker has another engagement, we're allowing her to speak earlier. So I'm just introducing myself. My name is Andrew from Australia. I'm the founder of Pinoyathletics. I'm also currently finishing off my level 3 in sprint and hurdles coaching with Athletics Australia. So that should be done by the end of the week. And I'm currently the Vice President of the Association of Track and Field Statisticians. The main purpose of having tonight's speakers on the benefits of plant-based diets and boosting athletic performance, for my view, was just part of my learning as a coach, and also for the athletes in my group, like for them to keep their options open. Of course, you know, I'm not going to force any of the athletes in my group to go vegan or, you know, go on plant-based diets, but, you know, like, it's good that athletes are informed about the options. Yeah, so I'm just gonna, now that Air Hanayas is here, I'm just gonna add her as a co-host, and she should be able to share the presentation based on that access. If not, yep. So, Air, are you able to share the presentation now, or is the co-host access enough for you to be able to share, or do I have to grant further access? Maybe unmute us. Maybe unmute. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Wait.
Hello?
Hi. I'm just logging into my Google account. Hold on.
Yeah. Are you able to share screen, or do I have to grant? Yep.
No. Let me try it out.
Okay. So I'm just letting you know that this is now live streaming on the Facebook page of Pinoyathletics. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you might, if this isn't PowerPoint, you might have to go on the full screen or the it's PDF. Okay, cool. All right, so we do have some people pouring in through the room. This wasn't originally, this was going to start at 8, so we can expect quite a lot more to come in. We currently have 5 plus myself. Yep, so if there's quite a few people coming in now. It's all good though, because if there's only 5 or 6 people or 7 in the room, there's honestly on the live stream, there's usually about like 3 times as many as whatever's in the room usually, because some of them don't have, some of them don't have access to Zoom, so they're just using the Facebook. Okay.
Okay, let's just wait for the others.
The others were, I instructed the others to show up at 8 because the idea was you were going to speak first, and then the doctor, Steph, and then Jello, and then maybe Stephen, and then the other two. The other two are speaking last because they're still finishing off work and they have clients. So, like, I basically figured out a order of speakers about 2 hours ago. Okay. So I guess I'll just if we start, I'll just briefly go with a run through of who will be speaking tonight, in order of who will be speaking tonight. Okay, so our first speaker will be Hernandez. Hello? I'm really close. Another window, the other window running. Okay, so the order of speakers tonight is Hernandez, former athletics athlete from the University of the Philippines, former athletic captain, training for competitive bodybuilding, followed by Dr. Steph De La Cruz, founder of the vegan movement, as well as various other accolades, writing assignments, and a lot of honors. Christian Angelo Cruz, who is currently Territory Manager, Nutrition Specialist of YF Philippines. Ronnie Fernandez, another bodybuilder. And finally, talking Pinoy, Stephen Newton, a long-distance runner and coach who's recently discovered the joys of plant-based diets, and we'll just be talking about how it's had an immediate effect on his sporting performance. So we're blessed to have a variety, multitude, assortment of athletes and health experts in regards to this new plant-based diet, and they will be basically giving us more information on the benefits and how it can adversely enhance like performance as an athlete. And yeah, so we now have a few people in the room. Air, would you like to begin your presentation? Air, I think you're on mute. You need to unmute.
Yeah. Sorry, apologies for that. Okay, so hello everyone. Those of you here in Zoom and those of you who are also in our Facebook Live in Pinoyathletics Facebook page. Hello everyone. Good evening. I'm Air Hernandez. I am a former track and field athlete. So basically, as Enzo mentioned to me earlier, this is basically for athletics sports. So yeah, maybe I can relate it to that since I've been a track athlete from 2010 to 2014 at the University of the Philippines women's team. And right now, I'm currently doing bodybuilding, training to be a competitive bodybuilder by next year. So yeah, that's my background. And being an athlete in the track and field team of UP for 4 years, nutrition was never really mentioned during our training days. So parang hindi siya naging priority. But realizing now kung anong impact ng nutrition sa athletic performance, it's really, really important na if only we knew na kung gaano ka-importante yung nutrition sa training natin, I know we could have done better no competitive days as a track athlete. So yeah, I guess we should start now with the presentation now. Okay, so I'll share with you. I made a simple presentation basically about plant-based diet. So what I'll be sharing with you guys today are just generally the whole meaning of plant-based diet. What's it about, the benefits, what are the common misconceptions of being on a plant-based diet, and I'll be sharing also sample meals that you can recreate, you can do at home, and also we'll be sharing with you some of my favorite vegan athletes. So and why more and more athletes are switching to a plant-based diet, why more and more athletes are becoming vegan. So yeah, I guess we should start now. Hold on, let me just connect. Okay, so I hope, oh, okay. Okay, so this is just a simple presentation basically about plant-based diet. So I don't think I'll be able to go back to my video since this is on share mode already. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be discussing about what is plant-based diets, its benefits, the common misconceptions. So I'll be also sharing sample meals and who are my favorite plant-powered athletes. So let's start. What is a plant-based diet? So basically, plant-based diet means these are the food that comes from plants like vegetables, fruit, legumes, tubers or root crops, grains, nuts, and seeds. So think of it as all the food that doesn't contain any animal products like meat, dairy, eggs, honey, cheese, and all those kinds. So they say that plant-based diet is the healthiest approach to eating. So the difference of a plant-based diet to a vegetarian and pescatarian diet is that plant-based diet really relies on plants. So vegetarian, they still use dairies and eggs. Pescatarian still consumes fish. So a plant-based diet is solely just plants. So yeah. As mentioned, ano-ano ba yung mga kinakain natin sa plant-based diet? So this consists of vegetables like broccoli, lettuce, eggplants, to name a few. So we have a lot of options for that. And then we have fruits, beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, mung beans or munggo, lentils, and a whole lot more. So we also have root crops, all kinds of potatoes, carrots, yams, beets. So yon, and grains. A plant-based diet also eat grains. So pag tinanong ka kung kumakain ka ba ng rice, you say yes, because grains like rice, oats, wheat, barleys are all plant-based. And lastly, we also have nuts and seeds like peanuts, almonds, pumpkins, sunflower seeds, chia, flax. So that is where dyan natin nakukuha yung mga omega fatty acids natin. So do you guys have any, if ever may mga questions tayo, we can just go back to that. So let me just finish my presentation so para makabalik na sa video. The benefits of, what are the benefits of a plant-based diet? So one of the most powerful steps you can take to improve your health, boost your energy levels, and prevent chronic diseases is switching to a plant-based diet. So there are so many benefits of a plant-based diet, but these 4 here in my presentation are the, let me say, like the top benefits for those for athletes. So number 1 is it leads to faster recovery time. So plant-based diet includes lots of antioxidants. They naturally fight inflammation and oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is an exercise-induced process that can damage cell structure. So on the other hand, meat contains pro-inflammatory fatty acids, which we don't like in our body. So yan yung mga naghihinder nung recovery natin. So yeah, being plants being high in antioxidants. So yun, nagka-create siya ng faster recovery time dahil walang nagbo-block sa systems natin. Next one is it boosts energy. So plants are nutrient dense, lower in fat, and gives you more calorie bang for your buck. So animal products are heavy and difficult for our bodies to digest. And usually, ito yung nagpaparamdam sa atin kung bakit tayo laging parang sluggish or parang ang bigat ng katawan natin. Unlike when we're on a plant-based diet, the physical feeling of lightness, we feel very light, parang ang gaan natin. when we work out, we're full of energy. So yun. Most plants are also rich in carbohydrates, which oftentimes gets a bad reputation. So parang pag sinabi mong carbs, ay nakakataba yan. But remember, carbs are fuel for workouts. So whether we're doing high intensity workouts and endurance workouts, carbs is our best friend. So a whole food plant-based sources of carbs are rich in fiber, which balances our sugar. So they basically it's less in fat and easier on digestion. Kaya it helps us become quicker, leaner, and stronger. So next one is it improves blood flow. So plant-based diet are composed of food generally low in saturated fat, which can slow blood flow and clog arteries. With healthy blood flow, athletes maintain the stable heart rate needed to perform at a high level. So not only that, but it also helps maintaining your cardiovascular health. So if you're an endurance athlete, this is very an optimal diet for you. Because it helps you ensure that you can run longer, jump higher, and train longer on a regular basis with quick recovery times between workouts. So yeah, that's some of the benefits of a plant-based diet. Let me continue with my presentation. So if you guys have any question, just save it for later so we can discuss it further. So wait lang. Hold on na. Matagal yung internet. Naka-connect ka pa, B. Okay. I'm gonna share this screen again. Okay. So, yan. And lastly, so since plant-based diet is typically high in fiber and low in fat, which results to a leaner body type. So that's why if you're on a plant-based diet, you'll parang mabilis kang, hindi naman sa mabilis ka pumayat, but it helps you reduce your weight or your body weight or your body fat, and it helps you become more lean since you're not consuming anything na high in fat. So yeah. Next one is the common misconceptions on a plant-based diet. So people say that plants don't have enough protein. Well, the truth is basically, yung animals, nakukuha lang nila yung protein nila sa plants. So animals only act as a middleman between man and protein. So what are the high protein sources on a plant-based diet? So we have soy, like tofu, tempeh, soy milk, grains, as mentioned earlier, legumes and beans, which are all rich in protein, and they fuel our performance, maximize muscle growth and recovery. So it's all a myth when people say that plants don't have protein. Kasi technically, lahat ng plants may protein, whether it's in small or big amounts, all plants have protein. So in order for you to have a well-rounded protein source, you get it from different food, vegetable, plant groups. So yan. Next one is another myth that we're going to bust is we need calcium from dairy. So only 70% of the world's population get their calcium from plant foods. Dahil most of us are lactose intolerant and we cannot digest dairy. So contrary to popular belief, dairy can increase the risk of osteoporosis and other bone-related illnesses, and not to mention it contains high cholesterol. So we don't want that in our bodies, especially for athletes. Next one is fish are the only source of omega-3 fats. So no, we have chia, flax, and hemp seeds, among other seeds, as a good source of omega. Not only that, hindi lang omega yung nakuha natin sa mga yan, but also antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, fibers, and protein. So, yun. And another one is you won't have enough energy. So vegetables may not seem satisfying to former carnivores because they're naturally lower in calories. But based on scientific researches, fiber from starchy vegetables and beans actually increase yung feeling ng pagkabusog natin. So it curbs hunger and it keeps our energy level steady throughout the day. So it's really a good source of carbs like potatoes, grains, sweet potatoes, yams. So yan yung mga protein sources, carb sources that will help us feel full and energized throughout the day. And lastly, people say that plant-based diet is expensive. As mentioned earlier, I actually posted this earlier in my Instagram and Facebook page. Beans, rice, potatoes, and basically vegetables are the cheapest and healthiest and most accessible foods that you can possibly eat. So if you compare it to the price ng meat, ng dairy, ng eggs, plant foods are very, very much more cheaper compared to all of those animal products. And not to mention our future health bills that you'll get from eating animal products na yun nga, as mentioned, high in cholesterol. Yeah. So yeah, high in cholesterol, high in your chances of getting lifestyle diseases are probably high. So diabetes and cancer, to name a few, na mga possible illnesses and diseases that will be na pwede nating makuha on animal products. So yeah. So sample meal ideas on a plant-based diet. So this is just a few of the many meal ideas you can get on a plant-based diet. So akala natin very limited lang yung mga pwede nating kainin sa plant-based diet eh. Parang lagi lang natin isip na parang boring maging vegan, boring maging plant-based kasi ano bang nasa isip natin pag kumakain ng gulay. So parang iniisip lang natin laging salad lang, laging boring salad lang sa restaurant yung pwede nating kainin, or raw food lang yung pwede natin kainin. Hindi natin alam na on a daily basis, marami rin pala tayong natural plant-based foods na nakakain. So, for example, this one, a good source of carbs, protein, and fat is a peanut butter banana oatmeal. So usually this will keep you full in the morning if you have this for breakfast or after your workout. And then for lunch, there's tofu and broccoli Asian stir fry. So usually parang soy sauce, ginger, garlic, and then a little bit of sugar lang yan. And then you mix your tofu and broccoli in there. And then mushroom adobo. So just a quick tip. If you're transitioning to a plant-based diet and you don't know what to eat, just think of your favorite ulam. So me, I used to love adobo. And isipin mo, paano ka makakagawa ng adobo na vegan or na plant-based? So papalitan mo lang naman yung sahog no na yung instead of meat, instead of pork or chicken, you just ano to? You just change it to a vegetable. So, yan, for my example, I use mushroom instead of your usual meat. So next one is oats caldo for breakfast. So it's like arroz caldo but made from oats, and there's no chicken or any animal products in there. Next is sweet and sour tofu and lumpiang gulay. So who doesn't love lumpia? And we have, yeah, scrambled tofu, also a good source of protein. Vegan pancit bihon and munggo, again, a good source of protein and carbs. So for the snacks naman, ito yung mga akala nating hindi vegan or hindi plant-based, yun pala, these foods are naturally plant-based. So like yung mga typical merienda, Filipino merienda like turon, suman, mga kakanin, kadalasan yan, plant-based yan, pag walang keso. Yan, or gatas. So, yan, usually, pwede natin siyang kainin. And PB&J, yay! So, yan, those are the few meal suggestions or ideas that I can share with you on a plant-based diet. So, here are the vegan athletes. So, more and more people are switching to a vegan or plant-based diet. So hindi lang mga normal na tao na may sakit or umiiwas ng sakit, but elite athletes are now switching to a plant-based diet. So here are some of them who are known in the industry. So para sa mga athletes, track and field athletes dyan, I bet you know who the first three people are. So that's Scott Jurek. He's a record holder ultramarathoner. Fiona Oakes. She's very vocal about her advocacy. She's also a record holder ultramarathoner. Morgan Mitchell, Australian 400-meter champion. So other athletes, so yan, sila Patrick, Rich, and Nimai, also known vegan athletes yung mga yan. Kendrick Farris, he represented USA in sa Rio Olympics. He's a American record holding weightlifter. Louis Hamilton, 5-time Formula One world champion, also vocal in his advocacy. And Kyrie Irving, a professional basketball player. So there are a lot more vegan athletes who are now really leaning towards a plant-based diet. So if you guys want to know more about being on a plant-based diet, you can watch The Game Changers on Netflix. What the Health and Conspiracy also on Netflix. So the first two, The Game Changers and What the Health, they're basically more health inclined. As for Conspiracy and Conspiracy naman is more on environment. So if you want to learn more how a plant-based diet can save our environment, or can save our planet, watch Cowspiracy. And most importantly, please watch Dominion and Earthlings. So Dominion is available on YouTube. You can just search Dominion documentary on YouTube and you'll see Dominion na. And then Earthlings, just click on the website and it will lead you there. So the Dominion and Earthlings are are the reason why I turned vegan. So why I went vegan. Maybe it will also be a reason. So yeah, just watch those films and see what and you might find your whys on why you need to transition to a plant-based diet now. So yeah, so this is basically a quick presentation on wait, sorry, nawala. Yeah. So yeah, that's just a quick presentation about being on a plant-based diet for me. Just to wrap things up, the truth is that there are nothing but good benefits to say about being on a plant-based diet. So veganism or a plant-based diet is clearly not exclusive, given yung mga examples kanina of what you can eat, um, what meals can you make on plant-based diet. So yeah, there's really a lot of options, and hindi siya exclusive, hindi expensive maging vegan or mag-switch to a plant-based diet. So not only will it improve your athletic performance, but longevity-wise, it will also reduce your chances of getting lifestyle diseases like diabetes, cancers, and hypertension to name a few. So not only will you able to get to save yourself, your health, yung hindi lang yung health yung ma-improve nyo, but you'll also be able to save trillions of animals, innocent animals, from being slaughtered every single year. And you will also be able to save our planet from dying. So yeah, that's just a quick background on how a plant-based diet can improve your athletic performance. So the next few speakers will be able to elaborate that. So I'm just giving you a whole generic view of what a plant-based diet is like. And yeah, if you have any questions, we can discuss it now. Yeah, I'm good, Enzo.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation, Air. I was quite impressed that you were able to come up with 17 slides in pretty much an hour and a half. I mean, that was some pretty quick work from you on there. Anyway, yeah, so thanks very much for that. That was very informative. I myself learned quite a lot from the presentation. Okay, so our next speaker will be Dr. Steph.
Hi, Enzo. I'm Alosa.
Yep. So thanks very much, Air.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming. And yeah, I think that a lot of viewers. I mean, we've got 35 people in the room, and several others in the live stream will take home a lot from that when considering like plant-based diet as a way to help increase their performance or to bring them to that next level. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Dr. Steph, followed by, I would say, probably Mr. Ronnie Fernandez. We also have two other speakers who have not yet arrived, but considering that we're still running well on time, as this was due to start at 11 here in Australia, so that was 8 in the Philippines. So we've still only gone 20 minutes into the presentation. That's why I sort of started a bit earlier. Okay, Dr. Steph. You might need, Dr. Steph, if you could just unmute. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, so I'll just mute myself and leave it to you.
Thank you, Enzo, and nice meeting you for the first time. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay. So I hope all of you are doing well despite the circumstances this pandemic has put us all in. I hope none of you have Zoom fatigue yet. Just in case, you can stretch, do a little stretching right now, because don't worry, I don't have any slides. I'll just be talking about veganism from a different lens. Okay, it's still about health, but there are many things we haven't realized when it comes to veganism and nutrition. And I'm just hoping that this outbreak, which is affecting everybody, puts everything in perspective, specifically how we perceive nutrition and sports in terms of veganism. So again, I am Dr. Steph de la Cruz, here to talk to you about how the future of sports is vegan. You see, animal flesh or meat is the next cigarette. That's a strong, bold statement. But our promotion of animal consumption and nutrition will one day be seen as one of the greatest mistakes in the history of nutrition. And that might be hard to digest at first, which is why I would like everybody to just suspend judgment for now until everybody has heard all the facts, because as is always the case, it is difficult for us to change our minds if it involves admitting that we have been wrong all this time. So let me just go back in time to remind us of an important oversight in health revolving around how professionals thought of smoking. So in the 1920s, cigarette advertisements used doctors as models. So Lucky Strike claimed in their ads that more than 20,000 physicians believed that their cigarettes were less irritating than others. Camel, another brand, claimed that more doctors smoked their brand. And if you've heard of Chesterfield, if you've been watching movies and series on Netflix, it's another famous brand at the time. And they quoted research in their ads that said there were no adverse effects involving the nose, mouth, and throat after people smoked their cigarettes for 10 months. So as you can see, at the time, doctors didn't just tolerate smoking, they actually endorsed it. And it was only after 4 long decades later that the United States finally passed a law which mandated the printing of a warning at the side of a cigarette pack that says, "Caution, cigarette smoking may be hazardous to your health." It took time for the medical community to assimilate the information that cigarettes are deadly. And this is how cigarettes are not that different from meat or animal flesh. See, according to the website of the Department of Health in the Philippines, 6 of the top 10 killers in our country are non-communicable. And in other words, they're called lifestyle diseases. And of these, 5 are mentioned in the 2017 study conducted by the National Institutes of Health, which involves data from about 500,000 people. And they found out that the consumption of animals was associated with 9 causes of death. So we have cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, infections, and diseases of the heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys. So if an athlete consumes animals, he's actually more prone to dying early instead of being healthy. Sort of like when you smoke a cigarette, right? And the findings revealed that it didn't even matter if the animal flesh was processed or unprocessed. As long as it came from an animal, it was linked to death and disease. Put simply, meat kills. And the World Health Organization has already included red and processed meat in their list of cancer-causing substances. But doctors themselves and athletes as well still serve hot dogs and barbecue to their own families. And I think the reason we can't quite move on from consuming animals is because, just like cigarettes, meat is addictive. Just like smoking, eating meat has become normalized as part of our culture. Many of us won't even touch a single fruit for days. But we will panic if we were to find out that the world has run out of steak or corned beef or lechon or bacon, right? So, until we can safeguard the health of the public, especially the health-conscious athletes, from the effects of animal consumption, in the same way we now have policies that protect them from the harmful effects of smoking, meat will continue to be a threat to our health, draining our resources, harming everybody, and exposing our obstinacy to science when it comes to nutrition. And you know, Enzo and everybody who's listening right now, dairy, just like meat, is a sore spot when it comes to nutrition because doctors, specifically pediatricians, have long waged a war against it. Dairy is a $3 billion industry and it will continue to market its products despite what the science tells us. As early as the 1800s, I think, it was Nestle who marketed cow's milk as food for infants. And because of these campaigns, the dairy industry has influenced both mothers and health professionals into thinking that giving cow's milk was a healthy alternative to breastfeeding. It was only after 100 long years later, in 1981, when the World Health Organization finally developed a code known as the WHO code that restricted the marketing of infant formula. It took too long for us to realize that milk is not good for humans, may it be for babies or adults. And thanks to these policies, we no longer need to convince anybody that breast milk is best for babies. But unfortunately, the dairy industry finds ways to continue promoting products to the public, especially to adults, and sometimes even to athletes. See, there's this particular brand of energy drink being advertised on Facebook. I wonder if you can guess what this brand is. They boast of a dairy-free formula in other countries where government leaders are already aware that milk from cows is not good for humans. However, in the Philippines, the same energy drink is currently promoting a new formula that contains more milk. And I am afraid of what this says about our country's knowledge of nutrition. Can you guess what the brand is? I can't say what it is, but I think you have an idea. According to a study just this year, involving more than 52,000 participants, where they found 1,000 cases of breast cancer with almost 8 years of follow-up, just 1/4 cup of full cream cow's milk a day increases the breast cancer by 30%. So if you're thinking that drinking cow's milk is something that can make you strong, give you stronger bones, we have to rethink that rhetoric because it's actually giving us cancer. 2 to 3 cups a day increases this risk by up to 80%. And you might think, well, in that case, I'll just go for non-fat or maybe reduced fat. But then you'd be wrong because both still carry the same risks for breast cancer as full cream milk. Soy milk, on the other hand, which has been unfairly touted as being linked to breast cancer because of the phytoestrogens, has not been shown to be associated with breast cancer in the above study. And while estrogens play a role in breast cancer, phytoestrogens are plant estrogens, so we don't react to them the same way that we do to animal estrogens. It's cow's milk that has animal estrogens that can be very harmful to us. Unfortunately, society in general is taking its time in assimilating this information. In fact, in the US, the dietary guidelines still recommend 2 to 3 cups of cow's milk a day, despite the findings that link dairy to cancer. So in case you've noticed on television, there are many advertisements that are giving us the impression that adult milk-based formulas can help build stronger bones. But current medical literature shows that dairy does not lower a person's risk for osteoporosis. Some studies are even showing that dairy might increase your risk for fractures because animal protein tends to be acidic. And for us to counter this acidity, for us to not have acidosis, calcium is being leached away from the bones into the blood, which leads to weaker bones. So if we want stronger bones, dairy is not the answer. Greens and beans are. This is not even new information. This has already been printed in medical books, including the Primer on the Metabolic Bone Diseases and Disorders of Mineral Metabolism, published way back in 2006. And this is why we are here. We need everybody to know, athletes specifically, that when we consume these products, we are doing our bodies more harm than good. Aside from that, we're doing a lot of harm to animals. And we are so behind when it comes to what we know about meat and dairy and what's good for us when it comes to our health. We need your help to spread the word. So thank you, Enzo, for inviting us to today's talk. So now that the science is clear, I would like to be clear also about the ethics that goes with it. We tend to forget when it comes to nutrition that both science and ethics should work together in moving health forward. Healthcare and research on nutrition has not always been ethical, and the field of medicine is not exempt from having a dark past. I mean, doctors in Germany used to experiment with prisoners, and the knowledge that we got from these experiments in human anatomy and physiology arguably proves useful to this day. And doctors in the past used conversion therapy on homosexuals. And this included what would have been considered today as torture. But we no longer do these things. And that's because of moral progress, which is what veganism demands. So let me be clear about what veganism is. It's a philosophy anchored in justice, as it seeks to put a stop to the exploitation of animals. It is the opposite of speciesism. Speciesism assumes that our species in particular is superior to others, so much so that it excuses us from the use and abuse of the rest of nature just because animals taste good as food or look good as clothing or feel good as entertainment. And it is whenever we imagine ourselves as superior to others that we find ourselves in trouble. It's this imagined supremacy that makes us feel that we are excused to oppress others. The Jews suffered under the Nazis because of this imagined supremacy. Women sometimes still suffer under men because of imagined supremacy. Americans once normalized slavery because of imagined supremacy as well. And right now, we are killing animals by the billions just because of our imagined supremacy over them. So we have a long way to go when it comes to realizing that eating animals is not good for us, it's not good for our environment, and it's not good to the animals being killed, of course. But as humans who pride ourselves in being morally upright, we are especially obligated to fight all these injustices and not use our strength as athletes as an excuse to continue exploiting and using animals. Our calling is all about being strong and not abusing our strength. So I think, Enzo, and to everybody who's still listening, one day our children's children, including doctors and athletes, will look back at how animals have suffered in our hands and how we ourselves have been dying because of our use of animals, and how this socially enabled enslavement has made our own people suffer. And they'll think that we are also a part of the dark history of sports and nutrition. I think it's time we realize that veganism aligns our actions with our values as a civilized society. It is time our healthcare professionals and athletes understood why veganism allows people to live longer and better quality lives than their flesh-eating counterparts. It's time we all re-examined how we view and treat animals in our personal and professional lives. But just so we're clear, even if veganism didn't come with health benefits, it would still be the logical choice. It's the ethical thing to do. As humans, we pride ourselves in our righteousness, and it's ironic that our way of life hurts sentient creatures who are like us, who feel pain like us, who suffer like us, and who just want to be free like us. We have such a broken relationship with the world. I mean, look at how the Amazon fire started. It's because of the animal industry. They wanted to flatten the forest to grow more cattle. Animal agriculture is an enemy of our planet because according to the UN, it is a top driver of climate change. And now we're in this prolonged lockdown because of an outbreak caused by a zoonosis. A lot of sports events have been canceled. I recall all the Spartan races being canceled, and they're going online, trying to get people to be active. But let's face it, the way we relate to animals has changed our lives. I'm sure you already know that this pandemic is caused by a zoonosis. And that is a disease that started in animals. I'm sure you already know that this zoonosis would not have started if only we learned to leave animals alone. Because of the way we treat animals, we've also started to encroach on their habitats. The less land the wild animals are free to move in because we burn down forests just to keep raising more cows, the more they're forced to mingle with us. The more we breed pigs and chickens, the more we promote disease in them that cause diseases that eventually mutate and jump to humans. As you can see, the more we mess with animals, the more nature acts as if we are the pests. And to get rid of us who have been causing so much trouble, nature will act accordingly. So we have to fix our relationship with animals and with the rest of nature if we truly want to be healthy, if we truly want to be strong, if we truly want to live longer, happier, stronger lives. And nutrition in general should be viewed and reviewed using an ethics lens for us to move forward. As athletes who care so much about health and about strength and about endurance, we are especially obligated to fight injustices that keep us from our goals and that come with consequences that are hard to ignore. Veganism demands moral progress. The imperative is for everybody, not just athletes, to understand how veganism saves lives, both animal and human. And while moral progress is slow, moral progress is certain. The future of health and the future of sports, it's vegan. What remains to be seen is what position we will take to contribute to this inevitability. So the challenge is for athletes out there like you to put their heads together in framing a world of sports that no longer supports illogical and unsustainable health recommendations that do more harm than good. The challenge is for everyone to rethink how their own lives contribute to the deaths of others. So again, I'm Dr. Steph de la Cruz, speaking for both animals and health conscious people in what I hope is something that every athlete out there will remember, that will change the landscape of sports and nutrition, especially in the Philippines. So on Instagram, you can find me, Steph de la Cruz MD. You spell Steph with an F. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And I also share research-backed tips on strength training. And of course, musings on veganism. So thank you, Enzo, for giving me time to talk about veganism from a different lens tonight.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Steph. That was really insightful, and it led to for me to a great chain of thoughts when it came to certain, um, certain milk-based drinks, and obviously having a background in world history, it basically brought, like the comparison of the exploitation of animals versus to man's exploitation of, like other men during colonialist times, as to draw a comparison. Okay, so on that note, our next speaker will be Mr. Ronnie Fernandez, followed by two other speakers who should be showing up within the next 20 minutes, I assume. Yep, so Ronnie, you're up next.
Ronnie, you're on mute.
Um, yeah, I think yeah, you're either on mute or you need to adjust the microphone. It might be microphone
This
issue.
is
Yeah, that's better. That's better. I can hear you now. You've kind of cut out again. Yep, all good. Okay, so while that's being fixed up, um, okay, Chris is saying she can't hear. I'll just.
sorry. How did?
Yeah, that's better. That's
Okay, okay.
better, Ronnie. I can hear you now.
All right. Good evening again. So my name is Ronnie. I vegan already for 8 years. So I was saying it's already pretty much covered in terms of nutrition and ethics, in veganism in terms of ethics and health. But I'd just like to add something about holistic health. And so in yoga, we study about the layers of the body because, you know, as we know, we are all just energy. You know, matter is actually basically energy as well. And we study 5 layers. We call them koshas, or 5 types of bodies. And one of them is the physical body, which has been covered already by air. And there's also the part of the body type, which is called the energetic layer, and then there's the mental layer, and then there's 2 subtle layers that we just study in yoga. But anyway, I just want to talk about the energetic layer because, as you know, even with the physical body, whatever trauma that it uh, experienced, even like in the earlier days, the body remembers, and so you can verify this from people who suffer from PTSD, and you know, people who have that condition. Um, so the energetic layer is that this is where we breathe. This is where the life force comes in, and when you talk about pain energy, this is when every time you consume an animal product, what comes with it is pain. And so when a pig or a cow sees other pigs or cows being slaughtered right in front of them, they see that, and they release chemicals also, and that also has also an effect on our bodies and in our mental health. So even if we don't talk about it, and even if we don't go deeply into these studies, these have an effect on our overall well-being. Um, I guess that's what just I wanted to add that. And I just want to ask everyone to go ahead and delve into it already, because the only thing that will deny you from experiencing the benefits of vegan diet is for you not to try it. And I would like to um, give a tip that you try it one meal at a time. You say like one day I'm going vegan, and you stick to it. And if you fail, you just go back. You know, you don't beat yourself up. So if you find yourself craving for some meat, you just try again another day instead of planning it like I'll be vegan for Monday, and then I'll not be vegan by Tuesday, I'll be vegan by Thursday. I'll tell you the truth is, to be honest, I've been vegan for 8 years, and the most the biggest challenge is explaining explaining to people why one goes vegan. But as for the meals that you get, you have a variety of food that you can eat, as already explained by Air. So it's not um, going to be really that difficult, you know, especially if you have a support system with you, and maybe joining groups like Manila Vegans will help. They have the resources, and they for you to follow, and they even have the 30-day vegan challenge if you want to have a mentor, and they offer that for free. Yeah. So so I was saying I've been vegan for 8 years, and the only regret that I have is that I should have gone vegan sooner, because at 43, going 44, I could have saved my skin from acne when I was in my 20s, and I could have had more energy then, because I feel like I'm stronger now than when I was in my 20s, and I can do other physical activities. Yeah, I guess that's it. So if you have questions, you can direct that to us, to doctor staff. Is Air still here? Okay. Yes, Enzo.
Yes. What was that?
All right. Did you get that? I was saying that's all about it.
Can you just repeat it again? I was sort of like just tapping away there.
So if you have questions on maybe tips on how to start, or how to maintain the lifestyle, you can ask the questions.
I have a question, because, like, for example, my brother, right? He's looking at going away from whey and milk-based protein powders. He was looking into more vegetable-based protein powders. Of course, they're a little bit more pricey, but as a bodybuilder, could you advise us, like, what sort of stuff that that you've or changed supplements?
What I would advise is, when you say supplements, they're practically supplements. You still rely on real food, meaning you get it from grains, and okay, because I usually don't like chewing. What I do is I usually just blend the stuff that I need to eat, so that I can get all the nutrition. So just like earlier, I have my mung beans that was boiled, and some chickpeas that are like got from the can, and I just combine them, mix it with bananas maybe, and then rolled oats, and then put in some greens, and or maybe berries, and all of this you can actually get. It's a nutrient dense meal already, because this is smoothies can be filling. But if you like chewing, there's so many things that you can do. You can even eat rice, especially brown rice. Brown rice has more protein than white, of course. And if you can go close to whole foods, go for that, meaning the food that got the least processing. So if you're talking about between dates and white sugar, Karstash, you would go for dates. Yeah. If you're talking about rice, you talk about those that were polished less than the refined white rice. Yeah. So and also, if you wanna try to be like avoiding probably even oils, because oil is vegan, but if you can avoid it as much as you can, then you can do that as well. And of course, sodium, you need to learn how to depending on, of course, on what you're doing, as an athlete, depending if you're doing high intensity endurance or whatever you have, you can check that out. Or if you need some nutritionist to help you out with it, you can also do that. But yeah, I guess.
Ma'am?
Anything? Okay. All right. But if you are into supplements, you can actually get BCAAs. BCAAs are mostly vegan, so you just have to check for where they came from. And even creatine. Creatine is also vegan. You just have to check where they come from. And citrulline, all these things. And also, if you can get hold of vegan powders, they're also available. And they're usually made from brown rice, or they can be made from peas, or you can make your own. Even some people, I heard they make their own pea powders, and you can actually just Google them. The thing is that veganism is so widespread right now, so that plant-based eating is not really that difficult already. So you just Google for a vegan recipe, and it's already there. What else? Yeah, so you can take supplements if you need it. especially for recovery. But also, if you don't want to take more processed supplements like the BCAAs, you can also go for maca. Maca is a good, it's good for recovery. Also, anti-inflammatory, you can always go for turmeric. Turmeric, you make it more potent by adding pepper. So the effect of the anti-inflammatory effect becomes more potent, things like that. And especially, of course, as athletes, it's not only about training. You also have to rest, I guess, yeah, and eat plant-based because they are the best way to recover faster. That's really one thing that you will notice when you try going plant-based. And even the soreness is lessened because, as Doc Steph mentioned, that animal-based, animal-derived products are acidic. If I can also say that I was acidic, I've always had this. I had GERD when I wasn't vegan, and I was advised not to consume a lot of things. But of course, one of them was milk, was there. So that means, dairy is acidic. But now I can eat as much tomatoes as I can because my body has become more alkaline. And this is why you are able to perform better as an athlete.
Inflammation of all sorts.
Yes. And I am grateful. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Steph.
I think inflammation of all sorts,
yeah,
they all go away in a way. Inflammation of all sorts, they just go way down when you go on a plant-based diet. So if you have gout, if you have arthritis, which are things that affect our performance as athletes, if you have any kind of inflammation like delayed onset muscle soreness, or if you think that you're recovering a little too slowly, you'd be surprised that even a regular plant-based diet, not even a whole food plant-based diet, just a regular diet is actually very helpful. Like if you were to compare two people, they would both be eating burgers and ice cream and French fries and all that junk. But one would be plant-based or vegan, while the other would be eating animal flesh and secretions. You can guess which person would actually recover faster despite all that junk. It would always be the plant-based person. Of course, whole food plant-based is the superior diet. But vegans in general, just by not consuming animal products, already are a step above when it comes to health.
That's
especially
true.
recovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I have to mention, I had is it gout before? I usually had when I was consuming animal products, but then when I removed all the animal parts, however, I mean, even if I consume a huge amount of mung beans, of peas, and all these legumes, I won't get that because they don't cause inflammation. So beans, it's a common myth. It's a common misconception that when you consume mung beans and all these legumes, you will get you'll get gout or inflammations or something like that. But that's basically not true. Yeah. All right. So yeah, but going back to your question, yes, you can still use supplements like creatine, BCAAs, and protein powders if you have if they are available. Yeah. Especially if you're working out.
Right.
Go ahead.
I think Ronnie and Enzo, I think a lot of people also overshoot what they think they need in terms of protein. They think they need a lot more than they actually need.
True.
And a lot of people actually consume more protein on an animal-based diet, and this is harmful for them because, as I mentioned a while back, animal protein is acidic and it tends to be harmful for us. It causes inflammation, it reaches calcium from the bones. But if you're plant-based, you actually get clean protein. So it doesn't have cholesterol, it doesn't have growth hormones, it doesn't have insulin growth factors, it doesn't have heme iron and all these harmful substances that are being exposed right now as being linked to all kinds of diseases. So clean protein is always plant-based, it's always vegan.
It's always superior than animal. Yeah.
Are there other questions? Wala bang curious about going?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I, I'm just saying that, you know, when we're talking about the amount of protein that should be consumed a day um, by somebody, like, for example, like, you know, the amount of protein that should be consumed by somebody who's not really an elite athlete, and the amount of protein that should be consumed by somebody who is an elite athlete. I mean, when I was, you know, a young athlete, um, you know, like, went to the PSC, the Philippine Sports Commission dietitian, and asked, you know, like, how much protein should I be taking? And they're like, oh, no, you don't really need that much. And then just recommended what I needed. But the thing is that, like, you know, like, wouldn't a more elite or active person who's, you know, for me, I was a sprinter, so I was in, you know, like, you know, strength and power events. So, you know, like, I'm doing a lot of lifting, obviously, you know, Olympic lifts, squats, deadlifts, you know, all that sort of stuff. So and, you know, working out maybe 7, 8 times a week. So what I'm thinking is, you know, like, the amount of protein that would be needed for somebody who's leading a more active lifestyle would be a lot more than somebody who's, you know, just, you know, I don't know, just going to the office, you know, 9 to 5, and, you know, maybe going for a jog now and again, versus someone who's doing quite explosive, you know, high, you know, burning type, you know, rigorous exercise.
Um, okay. So first, let's get into the topic of how much protein we actually need. So
Okay.
for a regular person, that's about 0.5 grams per body weight, kilogram body weight. So if you're 60 kilograms, you need about 30 grams of protein a day. For a regular person who just sits in front of the computer all day, you know, somebody who lives a
Yeah.
sedentary lifestyle, right? For more active athletes, we might need up to 1.2 grams per kilogram. That's actually a very high requirement. I'm talking about people who do a lot of strength training, a lot of high intensity exercises. So 1.2 is actually high enough. But that would mean just consuming about 60 grams of protein. I mean, just one bottle of Vitamilk, which is like 29 pesos at many 7-Eleven stores, has 11 grams of protein already. So that's more than, I think, 1/5 of what you might need for the day, and just drinking soy milk from from a convenience store. So you can actually meet those requirements by making sure that you're consciously adding different types of protein-rich plant-based food. And in case you don't meet it, like sometimes I'm a little too lazy to eat. So Ronnie was saying that he likes to drink instead of chew. But I would like to chew, but I'm too lazy to cook. So what I do is I do add plant-based protein powders to my smoothies. And to counteract whatever kind of whatever kind of bad effects it might have on me because it's processed, I add a lot of whole foods to it. So I add kale, which I plant myself. I harvest it from my own garden. I add glutamate. I add berries, and I add bananas and all sorts of whole foods to my smoothies. And I end up having one 200 ml smoothie with 30 grams of protein. That's a lot. And so what I do is just I drink something before the workout, I drink something after the work, and I'm all set. I'm all set for the day. That's really all we need to do. You don't need to consume that much. And
I
just
also want
just for context, I wouldn't really call myself an athlete, but I did join the Spartan race. I think Ronnie was with us during the Spartan race, and we all have our trifecta medals. And right now, I'm into lifting weights. So my deadlift right now is at about 210 pounds. So I'm doing a lot of intense training. So I don't have delayed recovery. I recover fast, and I'm building muscles. I'm making sure that I meet my goals. I don't think I'm protein deprived. And I
All
eat a
right,
lot of junk, by the way.
I just want to add, like, I've experimented also by not taking protein powders or by taking protein powders. And just like right now, for a few months, I haven't been taking protein powders. That's just my regular food. And so I've been building muscles since maybe 2 months ago. And so it's really about, and I'm very intuitive. I don't really count. I don't count calories. I don't, I just kind of eyeball it and also listen to my body. So that means, but I'm still being supplied with the nutrients that I need. It's really about, I think, doing your own research because we all have different body types and we all recover differently. We have different strengths, and so you know that as an athlete. And I guess I'd like you to do a little bit more research, check and then follow people who are plant-based and check on their tips, maybe so that they can give you so that you can learn. Yeah. All right. So, but I just want to tell you that please don't worry about protein. This is the very common myth. Don't worry about your protein. You will grow, even if you're a bodybuilder. You don't even have to take steroids. The steroids is another thing that's for the competitive ones, and some of them are vegan, but of course we don't recommend that, and we want to have that natural source. But I just want to tell you that please don't hesitate going vegan now. You can start at any time. Yeah, and so I've been vegan for more than 8 years already, and I don't get sick often. Or if I get sick, I recover faster, and probably I look younger than I should, and maybe I have better skin now, and all of these things. There's so many more benefits for going plant-based. So just go ahead and dive into it. That's all I'm gonna say.
We have a question here, and I guess I will refer this to either Ronnie or Doc Steph. It's from Luigi Calanta, the wife of Dean Hook from Lyceum. Thank you for these enlightening discussions. Your talk is pure vegans, but there are many plant-based athletes, physically active individuals who are not pure vegans. What can you say about this? I am glad Ronnie said to consult with a nutritionist, which follows the ND law. I am a nutritionist. So ND, what is that? What's ND? Is it National Dietary or something? Or maybe Dr. Steph knows
Hi.
that one.
Hello.
Hello? Yep.
Yeah, this is Luchi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Thanks
Hello.
for joining us.
The ND,
Hello.
yeah, the ND law is the nutritionist dietitian's law, which mandates that only licensed nutritionists can give out nutrient advice. That's why I'm very happy that Ronnie said that. Of course, Dr. Steph, since you are a doctor, no, yes, you can give out advice, but we always look at the patient holistically, which is why I am happy that Ronnie said for anyone who would need nutrition advice to consult a nutritionist, a licensed nutritionist. So kudos to you, Ronnie. Thank you.
Okay, so
I don't know if they have the same law in Australia. Sir.
I would have to check up on that. I wouldn't know. I will have to. My father, he's seeing a licensed dietitian because my father's a diabetic. So when next time she pops around, I might see if I can find that out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Luchi. Thank you for your question. The thing about people who sometimes eat plants and sometimes eat animals is, like I said in my talk a few minutes ago, health in general, including nutrition, is a science. And we should use science together with ethics. And there's something ethically questionable about enslaving animals. We've covered this in terms of social justice issues, in terms of imagined supremacy of humans. And I think that healthcare in general should be viewed and reviewed using an ethics lens. If we want to push our humanity to move forward, I think that we are obligated to fight injustices that come with consequences that are hard to ignore. I mean, the top killers in all our in our country are lifestyle diseases, and they're caused by the consumption of animal flesh of any amount. Like the World Health Organization has already considered meat as a carcinogen. They're not saying eat a little bit and you won't get cancer. They're just saying meat in general is linked to cancer, period. I think aside from the fact that it's unhealthy for us and it's unhealthy for our planet, it doesn't align with who we are as human beings. We tend to care about others. We tend to care about the planet. When we see a pig, we don't imagine, bringing out our knives and eating it. We want to befriend it. I think any line we draw between animals we consider as part of our families and animals we breed for food is an arbitrary line founded on socially enabled enslavement of animals. I think one of these days we will realize that it's all really wrong. So it doesn't matter what kind of benefits we get in terms of health. In the end, we are killing ourselves. And in the end, we are killing animals if we continue to consume them. It's almost karmic, really, this relationship between eating animals and killing ourselves. It's like death begets death in a way. I think it's nature's way of controlling what happens to us and reminding us that we are here for each other and with each other, and that we don't own animals. They're here with us, not for us. So I hope we review how we look at nutrition and we consider our humanity in the health recommendations that we give. I know that we're a long way. I mean, it takes time for us to assimilate this kind of information in the same way it took 100 years for the government to finally issue a law to protect babies from cow's milk. And it took decades before the government took steps to protect us from smoking. And so it will take a long time for the government to protect us from the effects of consumption of animals. But there's something we can do right now, right here, and that's to choose to not consume animals. It's something we can do today. We don't have to wait for the government. And we wouldn't just be saving ourselves. We would be saving the environment and we'd be saving billions of animals. So just something to think about.
I just want to add that if you have the chance to read this book, The Chinese Study, which I read a long time ago when I was just starting as a vegan, you can get all the information that you need, all the farming industry and basically the whole healthcare is the whole cover up. It's basically business. And of course, I don't have all the evidence with me, but you can read this book. You can find them also in Amazon, I guess, and in other stores online. And this is a comprehensive book. If you really want to go into the details, this can be very helpful to you if you have really questions about the science of nutrition science. Yeah, this is called The Chinese Study. This is made by Dr. Colin Campbell and Thomas Campbell. All right.
What's funny about Dr. Campbell is when he started the study, he wasn't vegan. He ate animals. And then when he finally finished the study and he found out that animal consumption was linked to so many diseases, he went vegan because of that. He converted himself because of those findings. And there's one other book that might be interesting if you really want to go into, you want to take a deep dive into health. It's called How Not to Die. It was written by Dr. Michael Greger. Am I saying his name right? Dr. Greger. So How Not to Die, yeah.
And also How Not to Diet. That's a second book.
How Not to Diet, yes.
Yeah. How Not to Die and How Not to Diet. Yeah.
Right.
How Not to Diet is about losing weight if you're interested in it. I have it in my, I haven't finished it. It's in my ebook reader. Yeah. So these three books, The China Study, the How Not to Die, and How Not to Diet. Yeah. That would be a good resource for you.
Another good resource is pcrm.org. It's the website for the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. So these are Western doctors based in the United States. It's being led by Dr. Neil Barnard. So he's a researcher. He actually does research. So he's the head researcher. He's published a lot of studies, peer-reviewed, very good ones. And basically, he's out to prove that plant-based nutrition can save a lot of lives, human and animal. So if you want tips on what to eat or how to, basically how to feed yourself in one day. So how should your plate look? So go to pcrm.org and you'll find the healthy plate there. So it's divided into 4 and you'll know what to put on your plate without really thinking a lot about it. Any more questions? I hope, Luchi, I hope we answered your question.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. It wasn't a question, it's more of a comment, and I wrote a lot of things here in the chat. So just find
Okay,
the
let
time
me
to
read.
read it. Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, yeah, so like I was just having a private chat actually there about, you know, like how when I was working for the Philippine Sports Commission, I used to go to the Seventh-day Adventist in Pasay and, you know, like have days where I would just have vegan food. And I just found that I needed to eat quite a lot of it, you know, to sort of get full. That was one of the things I observed, you know, like experimenting with vegan diet at one point. I kind of needed to eat quite a lot of food in comparison. Okay. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll just answer this question posted by Coach Edward Obiena. And then our next speaker will be the Talking Pinoy, Stephen. He's got a great vlog on YouTube, you know, like covering mainly Philippines distance running, but also other events as well in athletics. We'll begin off by just answering Edward Obiena's question, and then we'll move on to Stephen, who's prepared a presentation. So this is, I guess, this question, I guess, is to, well, mainly to Doc Staff or to Ronnie, but if anyone else has an answer, it would be good. So Edward Obien has asked this: is eating eggs considered unhealthy as well? What about fish?
Okay. Go ahead. Of course, earlier we talked about, Air talked about it already. Anything that comes from animals is acidic already. So that's already one point. And we produce cholesterol. So we do not need the extra cholesterol coming from eggs. Yeah, so we can, the protein, the amount of protein that you can get from egg, you can get it from cleaner sources. Right, you can get it from cleaner sources, from plant sources. So it is not necessary. So it's not essential. And there are so many ways to get your protein. You can get it cheaply. You can get it more expensively. And so also with fish. So why do we need eat fish? Mostly, probably we say that we need omega-3. And also earlier, Air talked about the sources of omega-3 already. And everything that all of the nutrients that you need from animals, all the essential nutrients that you need from the animals, you can find them in plants already. All right. Also, if you're talking about B12, people use this against veganism, the B12. Okay. Even non-vegans have problems with B12 if they don't supplement, because our soil has become too processed. I mean, all of the pesticides, insecticides that we put in. So what non-vegan products have now, they're fortifying it with minerals, they're fortifying it with all different kind of nutrients. So it's the same thing. So if B12 you can supplement yourself every other day or so, and it's not so difficult. It's supplementing with B12 is much easier than having to have your heart have heart problems, and all that, and everything that's related, all the diseases that are related to eating meats and animal products. Yeah, I hope that
Okay.
covers that.
Yeah. So after you answered that question, it kind of like spawned another question. So Edward's asked another one. So, what's your stand? And this is for you or Doc Steph again, I guess. What's your stand on GMO? So, what's GMO, genetically modified, or what is like? What's that the acronym for?
Genetically modified organism. Okay.
Food
I
and how
think Steph left green bar, so she doesn't have. But anyway, I can.
a genetically modified organism.
Yeah. All right.
Genetically modified food.
We are most of the products that we have already. This is coming. This is a personal. This is my personal opinion. Many products that we have in the market, whether they're vegan or not, they're probably genetically modified. Even the bananas that we have, the bananas of the 1800s don't look like the bananas that we eat now. So to me, it's really a matter of personal choice. But I would always, okay, this is how I would like to get. I'm always going to go for plant-based. If I can source it locally, I will source it locally. If I can get it non-GMO, I will get it non-GMO. But as long as it's plant-based, I'm good with it. That's my position. But of course, I would say that non-GMO will always, because we don't know what's behind all this, the modifications that made with the molecules and all. So I would prefer a non-GMO product over a GMO, but I wouldn't fuss over it so much.
Yeah, one of the most ridiculous things I saw was, I think it was when I went to the supermarket or like a special supermarket or something which had organic food. And, like he was going through this phase where he was just totally obsessed with organic. And we went to the shops, right? And there was something up on the shelf. I think it might have been milk or something, or soy milk or something like that, or milk or soy milk or something. And it had like an expiry date, and the expiry date was like, like about 2 months away or something. I was thinking, if it's going to expire in 2 months, it must have some element of preservatives in it if it's going to last that long on the shelf. So doesn't that something like that kind of nullifies the fact, like of having, organic food, paying extra for organic food when it obviously has a long shelf life, and it's going to, because stuff which is not full of preservatives usually expires pretty quickly.
So again, I just want to add up, if you can plant your own food in a healthy soil, an organic soil, go ahead and plant your food so it doesn't even consume more carbon footprint. If you can go order in a restaurant, which is everything is locally sourced, go ahead and go for it. But if you can't, go ahead for the next one. It's always about not stressing yourself so much about being pure, because veganism is not being pure. It's really about doing your best that you can for yourself and for the animals and for the planet. Yeah, as long as it doesn't contain anything that causes an exploitation with animals or humans. Hopefully, it's fair trade and all these things. As long as you consume like that, I'm good. Yeah, don't. There's no one is practically. If you want to go pure, you can't ride a car because the car tires there's some animal ingredients or materials derived. So you can also use you can go off grid if you like, but that doesn't make sense. We want the world to go vegan, and we want to make it as easy as possible. And also, if you're living in the Philippines, I don't know when you were in the Philippines, and so, but there's so much has changed. There's so many resources. Supermarkets are full of vegan options, and so restaurants have vegan options. You can veganize products. There's so many vegan desserts abound And yeah, I guess it's pretty much different from when you were talking about the Adventist restaurant. It's so much better now, and vegan food is so much accessible. Apart from the fact that a lot of our kakadins are already vegan, things like that. Yeah. I think Doc Steph is.
Doc Steph has left the building.
If she has, she's come back, but I don't know. I think she's going to say the same thing.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, I missed everything because I had to leave the restaurant, but I trust whatever Ronnie said.
Yeah, it's just about GMO, and I was talking about most of the products now are, sort of modified, but so if you can get hold of a non-GMO, you go ahead. If it's not there, then you go for the next best thing. It's not really about being pure. It's really about doing your best as much as possible for the animals and for other humans. Yeah, that's basically that.
All right. Thanks for that. And I think that's that's a couple of questions answered there. So we've had 3 speakers so far, and we have 2 more. One of them I think is still yet to come. I'm now passing the mic onto Stephen talking Pinoy. He's distance coach slash athlete based in Hong Kong, originally from Bacolod in the Philippines. He runs a popular vlog on YouTube, which covers in quite great depth mainly Philippine long distance running, but also he did quite very good, very popular coverage of pretty much all the events during the SEA Games in 2019 for athletics. And yeah, it's very insightful stuff, very well researched, in-depth reviews about how athletics is going in the Philippines. Without any more to say, I pass the mic on to Stephen now.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone, and then thank you once again for having me here. So is the audio okay? Give me a thumbs up if it's okay. So yeah, it's really a pleasure for having me here again, and of course, I'm quite thankful to the learnings that I've learned again from previous speaker. Then I just want to share this because usually, as me, I just want to put this first. I just want to make a disclaimer first that I'm no expert, and then also I just base everything from my experience, and also the things that I've learned, and I want to go science based because I'm also following a training plan which is science based. So it's more of a minimalist approach for a training plan, and also I found this to be more efficient, to be in giving me more result for my performance in doing a plant-based, because I also did my research. And yeah, I just want to share this to you. Here's the presentation that I've prepared. So can you see it right now? Yes, exactly. So first, yeah. So plant-based diet for long-distance athletes for better performance in recovery. As Dr. Steph mentioned, and also Ronnie, they shared about the recovery and then the anti-inflammation part. So I just want to give or share my experience, my journey in transitioning to a full plant-based diet that I'm experimenting right now. So before, I tried to go with the advice of my nutritionist, um, I asked him, what will I do? It's like, what should I take? Mostly that I've got from him is that he informed me to go for white meat instead of red meat because it's easier to digest and also you can get more protein out of it compared to the red meat that you're going to take. So um, I don't really forget about veggies and fruits. It's always there in my meal, and also that's why I call myself a flexitarian because here's the thing that here's the type of plant-based diets that usually uh, being followed currently. There are people who can't really go for pure vegan, so sometimes they eat milk. Those that are also eating eggs sometimes were vegetarian, and then for both lacto and ovo, and then for the ones who are eating fish, pescatarian, and then yes, and for those who eat meat occasionally, those are the ones that called pescatarian. So um, the first encountered my first encounter to be being a vegan is that Dr. Steph mentioned a while ago about Dr. Neil Barnard. So I came across this documentary or interview by Rich Rolls to Dr. Neil Barnard, and then he's a really interesting guy. He speaks well. He's very knowledgeable about what he says because he's also a researcher. Um, Everything that he speaks, of course, they've already made a lot of studies and then a lot of numbers of sample studies. So these are if something that is coming from a huge amount of sample studies, like 70,000, I guess that would really tell you that it's already a fact, right? So he wrote a lot of books as well that about plant-based diet, your body in balance, power of foods, and also he was also featured in some of the documentaries like What the Health, Eating Your Life. There's a lot of things that I've found really interesting about this guy. So I keep on following him, and also as a long distance runner, I've been also following long distance athletes, which are mainly in my direct access is just YouTube. So everything I want to learn, I just approach one click away, and then I'm just using the app. So the ones that I'm usually following is that Ben Parks, Sage Kennedy, it's like Scott Jurek, Rich Rose. These guys are really a legend when it comes to sports, when it comes to long distance running. This Ben Parks, a 225 marathon runner, which he purely vegan diet, rituals. He did a epic 5 challenge, and then it's like 5 Ironman in 5 weeks in 5 Hawaiian islands. It's like talk about the recovery then. It's like well, Iron Man. It's not easy to do that. You need recovery for your body just by just doing one, and then he did five within 5 weeks. So and also Sage Kennedy, the VO2 max production, and then of course Kat Jurek, the U.S. world record holder for the 20 hours. He was able to do around 165 miles just by purely plant-based. So if they can do it, I think that I can survive as well. So they've already proven that it can be done to long distance running. And currently, from my experience, I'm already 3 weeks in my vegan diet. Uh, I didn't really. I currently I don't take any milk, um, dairy milk, and dairy products, and also some cheese, eggs, none of that. But I'm really, really doing well. And I thought that I would really find it hard to transition, but um, it was so easy. It's like a natural thing to do. It's all all I've ever wished for, I guess. Because when I watched this game changer, it really backed the theory up. This one is really an eye opener for me. The game changer is um, missed an S there. So it's the game changer initially released last year, and then it was introduced to me by a friend, Ray Run. And actually, I already encountered this last year, but I didn't really take it seriously to give it time. But um, when I when I was already thinking of going plant based, I told myself maybe it's worth watching, and then this really is really worth the time. Everything. Um, very eye opener when it comes to eating your animal meat because this documentary is quite full pack. The ones that Dr. Steph mentioned a while ago about the impurities, all the things that you can get from benefiting in plant-based diet, the recovery, everything is here. That's why I shared it with you right last week, and I'm encouraging you to do so as well. But I know it will take some time for you to really transition to a pure vegan diet. But for me, it's worth watching. That's why um, I would suggest to our viewers here as well that um, might as well give this a time to watch. So for me, I was really worried about my kids uh, when I transitioned to a plant-based diet, but I when I saw actually my eldest and then my youngest right now, it's like I observed that they're quite natural vegetarian eat because they like fruits, they like veggies. The thing is, we as parents were the one who introduced the animal meat to them. So sometimes my eldest always separates the pork meat, the beef, the chicken meat, and then he just eats the veggies and then the rice. So I told myself, wow, I've been, it's like I've been really pushing my son to eat meat, but totally it's quite okay not to let them eat meat at all because it's like I've also watched the documentary What a Health and at Netflix, and then it says there it's like if you providing them like those animal meats, like providing cigarette to a kid, which is you know that cigarette is not good for your health, but smokers are still um, using it. So I also taught them what every food that they take, what's the what is it good for? What are the nutritions that I can get? So I'm currently really focused on feeding them fruits and veggies right now. Where after I uh, open my mind or my mindset to being a plant-based eater. So for the long term, of course, I'll tackle more of this later for the next slides. And this one, because I've encountered before a celebrity chef. He's a Filipino chef, which quite young. They're the three siblings. I don't know if you uh, others can remember or know them. The Go brothers. It's a really a sad story by a mom who lost her three kids due to cancer, and this is what I discussed to my wife as well. That might as well give it a go. Might as well push the kids to be plant-based. The three kids, it's like they died so young. It's like 26, 28, and then 24. And yeah, they weren't able to really survive the disease. So might as well transition to plant-based if you don't want just knock on wood. And yeah, balanced diet. Of course, I'm giving my kids supplements. I also check in the online what vitamins I need to give them, and then also the supplements that are quite deficient when you're going plant-based. So before their doctor really informed us that they need to take iron, and so we did that, and then currently we're just supplying them some multivitamins, and also making the final decision. It's was quite easy because the next slide that I'll be showing you is this. Why choose a plant-based diet? And these are the things that you might think of, and of course, it's been proven and tested based on the history. Um, this slide here, uh, where they conducted a bone, bone testing from the gladiators that they found at Turkey, and they were able to dig up around 68 bodies of gladiators and collected around 5,000 bone samples, and they tested it, and the result came out to be uh, mostly of the gladiator, actually not all of the gladiators which they found were eating plant-based. Um, they conducted a this bone testing, which they took some piece of samples and then they grind it, and then afterwards they burned it, and then it comes out red. It gives the result that they are plant-based. And of course, in the Olympics, there are a lot of Olympians who really thrive in their performance by going plant-based. So um, this, I just want to go briefly that it's not a must for us to eat animal meat to get the best performance out of our system. So here's also proving time and again that these athletes like the US biking team, the she's already 39 years old. That's the Bausch, and then this guy here is purely eating plant-based. Those are the myths that always being told to us that if we go plant-based, we are weaker, and then also, um, how can you get your strength? And I just knew that the Guinness World Record holder is a plant-based eater. So even weightlifters, the medalists for the Olympic weightlifting, some of them are also plant-based, and even the Olympic athletes as well for track and field. So it's not really a question anymore if you really need to eat animal meat to get those protein, to get the best out of your performance. So they've also conducted a study or an experiment regarding the blood that the result of your blood. So research have proven they did an experiment. They pulled around 3 NFL athletes, and first day they let them eat burritos, and then these 3 athletes, one of the athletes were fed by a beef meat, one was fed by red beans, and then one was fed by chicken meat. So the second day, after they finished eating, they took a blood test and then kept it and then ran some sample. And also the next day, they were all fed by plant-based diet, uh, red beans burrito. So after the experiment, they took out the blood sample as well. So as you can see, the plant-based and then the beef meat. So as you can see that the blood plasma from the beef meat is quite murky, and then the plant-based is quite clear. So what's the um, result? Would what's the best effect to your performance when it comes to this? When it comes to long distance running, so like, if you're a long distance runner, right, you really require a proper distribution of oxygen to your system while you're running, so to maintain your performance or your pacing. And what I've observed during my run right now is that I don't really get tired easily. And later on, I will show you the result that I was able to break my the sub 38 for the 10K, which I did for 1 week of eating plant alone without eating any animal meat. So I wasn't able to achieve that goal my last attempt, and I was just only able to run around 38:49 for the 10K. But later on, I'll show you the result, how I did. So this one, if you have a murky or a fatty blood plasma, of course, it knocks away the oxygen distribution to your body while you're running. So it's a straightforward result, I guess. And the benefits for the performance, of course, if you're eating, if your blood plasma is quite clear, and which means that your blood flow will be well regulated. And in their experiment, in their study that they've conducted, they've said that it increases around 22% the performance for the long distance athletes. So when I saw this, I didn't really hesitate to transition to full vegan diet. And also for the vitamins, they conducted also an experiment on which protein is um, pure compared to animal meat eaters. So this photo here shows that you can get more protein from your plant-based diet. Of course, um, why is that so? Because in their study is that they usually the animals that being slaughtered in the slaughterhouse and then prepared to your dish is also being fed by plant-based feeds like corn and more onto also some legumes, everything. So they just act as a middleman and giving us the protein that we need for our daily intake. And also, Dr. Steph mentioned a while ago as well that lesser impurities, all those the for them to grow. Some of the farms really inject a lot of growth hormones for them to grow fast. So those are the things that goes to the meat as well to the of the animals. So you can really avoid those impurities at all. And for the benefits of recovery, right now, based on my experience, I was injured due to the shoes that I was wearing before. I was wearing a wrong shoes for my type of foot feet that I have. So I've shared it to some of my blog as well that I suffered a left foot injury due to the collapse of my arch, and of course it was from my previous injury as well. And currently, I was able to treat that one, and then right now, even though that I'm running a better mileage, doing hard sessions, I can really get rid of those ache, body aches the next day. And due to this, it says here that within 3 weeks, those who are injured from their previous injuries, they were able to treat them around 20% faster compared to those who are eating animal meat. So now, when it comes to benefits and performance, I would really go or follow a science base where they've already made some research. And lastly, of course, the avoid ma- major diseases like from the food that we take, like cancer, and then they made a study also that can cure diabetes type 1, type 2, and then heart disease, brain issues, obesity. So for me, I didn't really lose a lot of weight because even though that I was burning around 750 calories every time I do my run, um, to my hard sessions I burn around 900 calories, but I maintain my weight because I maybe it's because that I was able to convert my fatty muscles into a leaner muscles, and which really gave me a boost to my performance. So, of course, you can also in the What a Health documentary, they were able to conduct an experiment as well for the firemen, and mostly of the firemen there are quite high in cholesterol, and then their blood pressure was quite high. So, um, majority of the firemen's death is actually due to heart attack and the um, blood pressure, cardiac arrest, and they made an experiment within 2 weeks. They just fed them with plant-based diet, and then they really accepted the challenge. And within 2 weeks, around 50% of their cholesterol had um, went down, and also the blood pressure went to high and then to normal. So yeah, I would really suggest you watch it as well. What the Health? It's quite an eye opener kind of documentary as well. It's worth watching if you have some really you're suffering from like AD, illness right now. And what I've also observed by going plant based, when because we long distance runner, right? We usually take care of our gut because uh, based on also on a study that most of the long distance runner have a problem with their gut. If their gut is okay, they can really run well and then have better performance. So before I used to eat beef, chicken, and fish. I usually find it hard to poop. So sometimes I poop once a day, sometimes every other 2 days. 2 days. So currently plant-based diet, no problem at all. 2 times a day. So if you actually, for those who have hemorrhoids, I would really suggest also you go into a plant-based diet. Really, would really help you because the hemorrhoid is the definition of that is an inflammation of your arteries underneath, right? So if you go to plant-based diet, I would guarantee you that it will really treat your hemorrhoid. I assure you that because I've been there without undergoing surgery, I was able to treat my hemorrhoid. So yeah, um, I would end my uh, presentation by showing you the result that I gained last time that I did my my attempt for the training plan. So I was able to. So my goal for my training plan for this set was to break 38 minutes for the 10K by just doing the Garmin 10K training plan level 2 with heart rate monitor and also 4 times a week. So from that, from 38, 49 last August, and then currently my time is this. Sure. Can you see the my monitor? So this I was able to hit a 7:21. Able to do this in a threshold yeah, threshold session, but um, with 2 minutes rest. So I'm quite confident that I can really do 35 or 36 because I was able to do this within 2 minutes rest. So that's 25 laps in the oval, doing 4 times a week training. I just want to complete my training set. And yeah, currently I'm resting. Um, so yeah, I would like to conclude my session that go for a plant-based diet. If it's just me, small steps or small bits that I add in training really gives me bigger, bigger improvement. And I was quite surprised. I didn't really expect that I can do first, but I was able to do it. And then after I ran that, I was really so happy that I did it. And so, um, if you still doubt, give me a direct DMT my company page. I'll I'll very happy to take your query. And yeah, so I also I've been following some of the athletes that are really going plant based. So there's no harm in trying. I know that it's quite hard at first. You cannot really force everyone to really go pure vegan. It would take a lot of time and then a lot of mindset to before you can really transition to a plant-based diet. So if you willing to try, the step at a time. Are there any questions that that I hope that I didn't bore you with giving
Hey,
my
um,
presentation.
so just some updates with this. So yeah, firstly, thank you to speakers tonight. Thanks to Hernayes, who spoke first. And obviously she has had some other things to attend to, so she left about maybe 50 minutes ago or so. Thanks to our second speaker, Dr. Steph De La Cruz, and then third speaker, Mr. Ronnie Fernandez, and of course, um, Stephen talking Pinoy, and I've just got an update that our final speaker, Mr. Angelo, has gotten stuck in a bit of traffic, so unfortunately he will not be able to join us tonight. So I'm now just wrapping up with Q&A. So if anybody has any questions they'd like to ask or put forward to the three remaining speakers, then they can either type their questions here or on our Facebook page at Pinoyathletics, or they can ask the question over the mic. So we'll just wait. If we don't have any questions coming up, we'll just I guess we'll just wrap up for tonight. Obviously, we started at 7:45, or actually earlier. I think it might have even been close to 7:30 Philippine time, and it is now about 10 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, over in the Philippines. So it's been a good 2.5-hour talk on the benefits of plant-based diets when it comes to leveling up athletic performance. Yeah, so recently in my course with Athletics Australia, I learnt 3 major components of recovery for athletes. Basically, they pointed out the 3 major components was rest and regeneration, nutrition, and hydration. And then there were other things as well, but they labeled those as the big 3 in terms of recoveries. Here we go. Okay, this is a question we have. Sorry, had a poor internet connection. Can you give me advice regarding best plant-based pre-post run meals? Thanks. So I'm guessing this is to either of the 3 speakers remaining. So the question is, sorry, I had a poor internet connection. Can you give me advice regarding the best plant-based pre and post meals for a run?
I think I'll give it to Stephen, so because he's running. But okay, first you go ahead.
Go ahead, bro. No. Okay. So yeah, my pre meal normally 2 hours before my run, or minimum of 2 hours before. Usually I eat around 3 hours. So I go for toast and with peanut butter, and then sometimes I go for granola or oats. The ones that are easily digested, I go for that. And for my post meal, I usually go for fruits, also salad. But usually I go for stir-fried noodles with a lot of greens like green peas, and I also go for when it comes. Are are you located in the Philippines, Janesh? Because maybe some of the or are you a student? Because sometimes I can suggest which meals that are quite expensive. So I would go for if you're in a budget, go for like okra, pogi, pakbet, Filipino food, and some of the high carbo loaded diet when you're a long distance runner. Go for that. Um, Pasta, vegan pasta, and then some wraps after post meal. And also I like Dr. Steph. I'm also using a plant-based protein right now, which has 20 grams. So,
Can I also add to Stephen's answer? I think it depends on a few factors. So the question is about what you eat before you run and after you run, right? Okay. So it depends on how long the distance will be and whether or not you're undergoing just endurance training or if it's concurrent with strength training because the goals will be different. For instance, I underwent concurrent training for a few months and I realized that my requirements would be very different because I would require a lot more protein after my run just so my muscles don't get catabolized for energy. In terms of distance, if it's just a 2 kilometer run, then it doesn't really matter what you eat as long as it's complex carbohydrates. You're not going to burn up a lot of energy. But if it's going to be a 10 to 21 kilometer run, or even if it's a marathon, then you will need a lot more energy for it. And perhaps even add a lot more protein. I think that's one thing we ignore when it comes to endurance training. We don't add a lot of protein before the run. But studies have shown that if you do it, you don't even need to eat more protein after the run. So those are the new things that I learned when I studied the available literature for concurrent training and endurance training. A lot of evidence have been coming up that are new, that are providing new answers to old questions. And I think that it would help us if we learned how to go through this literature and find out for ourselves with the help of health professionals as to how we can feed ourselves better on a plant-based diet. And basically, if you're not used to eating plant-based, ask yourself what you would eat if you're already undergoing training and you're already used to something else. If you're eating something else, just ask yourself how you would veganize it. So if you're used to eating, say, um, cow's milk and cereal, just add soy milk instead of cow's milk. So just veganize your food and you'll be on your way to eating plant-based, whether or not you're doing concurrent training or if you're just doing endurance training, simple endurance training.
And and also to add on to this question is that um, normally as I don't know if you long distance athlete. For me, I am, and so I would really go for a plant-based, which is good for giving iron because us long distance athletes really need a lot of red blood cells in our system. So if you got more iron in you, it would be easier for our um, oxygen distribution in our system. So it's been proven ever since that if you got a lot of like due to the high altitude training that long distance runners do, they produce more red blood cells. So you can get a lot of those iron from the greens that you take. So there's another question from Pinoyathletics coming from Ross. So I'll read this to you guys. How would you advise a 118 kg weightlifter that a plant-based diet can give him all the protein he needs for his sport? So I would give that first to
Um, yeah, probably
our
I can
guest
probably answer
Lucas.
that. All right. I think what you can do is really, uh, okay, you go ahead and look at the kind of food that you enjoy, or whether you like eating a lot, or you just, or like myself, I just want all the nutrients. I just want to get all the nutrients in one place and just drink it all out. So I really enjoy making smoothies because like for example, I said earlier, I had mung beans and chickpeas. Sometimes I would put in sweet potatoes. Sometimes I would have peanuts, roasted peanuts. Sometimes I would have raw cashew nuts that were, soaked. And I think it's all about determining how, of course, on 118 kg, I'm not very good at math, but you can compute, as earlier Dr. Steph mentioned about 1.2 kg, 1.2 grams for everybody um, for a body weight is already too much. But since you're a weightlifter, of course, you will be needing more than what a normal person would have to eat. So just determine what kind of food you like to have, and incorporate a lot of legumes, incorporate a lot of nuts, also seeds. Also seeds, they contain protein. Even rice, even white rice has protein, but you don't want to deal with the processing. You don't want to deal with all the rest of that. So you might want to go for brown rice instead. Oats, oats are very good. I just mix them up with my smoothies, and they even have oats even have iron, so you can get your iron from your oats. What else? Yeah, I guess when you know what kind of food you want to eat, or if you want just to drink up, or you want to chew, or want to have a big portion, decide on that, and then just make sure that you have complex carbs. You, of course, I know that you know that you need that as well. Just also avoid too much processed food. Um, uh, like oils, yeah, and refined products. Yeah, I think that would be the advice that I can give, Doc Staff.
Sorry, I am having connection problems. Are we talking about what we can eat on a regular basis, or is it still about endurance training?
For weightlifting, for a weightlifter, so probably
Oh,
about yeah.
so okay. I don't do weightlifting. So first, let's define what weightlifting is and what powerlifting is and what lifting weights is. Weightlifting is a type of sport that, um, well, if you're a weightlifter, you have to do clean and jerks and um, snatches. So you snatch and then you clean and jerk. It's not the same as lifting weights, which is what everybody in the gym does. A power lifter, on the other hand, does squats, benches or bench presses, and deadlifts. So all of these people, they lift weights and they have different names, but basically, I think they they can subsist on the same kind of diet. And of course, as somebody who relies on science and ethics, I would definitely recommend a vegan diet. Can you hear my cat meowing right now? I think it's part of every Zoom meeting. My cat always meows. Anyway, um, when it comes to strength training, uh, one one of the things that I do is think of how much soreness I experience the next day and how I can recover faster. So usually when I eat a lot of junk, I realize that the soreness doesn't go away as easily. However, the soreness does go away faster now that I'm a vegan as compared to when I wasn't. I wasn't really doing strength training when I wasn't a vegan yet, but I was already running. And the soreness that I experienced at the time, it was it was more than awful because I had arthritis, I had gout, I had hypercholesterolemia, I had hyperglycemia, I had elevated liver enzymes. And so as you can see, I was very sick when I still ate animals. Now, when I went vegan, I wasn't even going vegan for health. I went vegan because it felt like the right thing to do. And all of a sudden, my hyperglycemia went away. My hypercholesterolemia went away as well. My liver enzymes went down. My arthritis disappeared in just 2 weeks. It's sort of like a beauty product. In just 2 weeks, no more arthritis. And my gout, my symptoms of gout went away as well. So it was was one of the best decisions I've ever made. By sparing the lives of animals, I spared my own as well. And so now that I'm doing strength training, I realize that I do recover better when I get protein from plants and if I eat as much whole food as possible. So, whole food plant based diet is really the best when it comes to strength training or endurance training. Now, when it comes to the kind of the amount of protein that you need, I think it's best if you consult a health professional. If you really want to measure your protein and measure your macros and micros, that's the best step if you really want to be strict about it. But if you want nutrition advice that you can read as you wait for, as you try to think of somebody to consult, you can go to nutritionfacts.org or tcrm.org. These two websites provide a lot of information on what you can eat as an athlete, whether you're a power lifter or a weightlifter or an endurance athlete.
Also, if you're more interested on the physique side, like bodybuilding instead of just weightlifting, you can also refer to the vegan bodybuilding. There's a page. They have a vegan bodybuilding. It's I forgot the name of the guy, but yeah, I just search for vegan bodybuilding. It's the first thing that you'll see when you Google it. Yeah.
Ronnie, I think they need to see what kind of bodybuilder you are. I think
I'm
they
actually
need to
not.
see
I
proof.
don't. I'm not a. I don't consider myself a bodybuilder, but I am part of the bodycon, which was postponed. Yeah. So I'm training for more like overall fitness, functional, and also a little bit of physique. Yeah.
Yes,
Please.
you should check out his pictures.
No, please.
And he's for those who are not familiar with Ronnie, Ronnie is also a yoga instructor. So he's not just strong. He doesn't just have the muscles to show for it. He's also very flexible. So imagine being well-rounded when it comes to fitness. And I'm so happy to see a lot of vegans who have become so much healthier and who are so passionate about protecting animal lives, even as they fight for human lives as well.
So to continue with the response, for the question, how would you advise a 180 kg weightlifter that plant-based diet or that it depends on your uh, the way how many times do you exercise per day? Do you train times a day? So if how many calories that you burn every time that you train?
Okay,
So
so sorry, just to interrupt there. The athlete concerned is 118 kilos.
yeah,
He is also diabetic, and he um, trains twice a day.
twice
And he
a
does,
day.
yeah, and he's a basically as a professional, he's a full-time athlete. So he does weightlifting as Dr. Steph was talking about. So he does snatch and he does clean and jerk. So the biggest thing for him is like, how does he get his protein and how much would he need to satisfy his protein needs, etc.
So I presume for me as a long distance athlete, right? I mentioned I'm burning around 700 calories per training that I do. So I assume that he's also doing the same. And what I what advice I can give is that like me, I'm doing my meal. I separated my meals instead of taking a full meal and three three in a day. I split it into 6 times a day, so I can really absorb everything fast by taking small portions of it. So if protein, maybe in the morning, um, before the workout, 2 hours before the workout, uh, go for that smoothies or the add some protein powder there, the 20 grams, and also at nighttime as well, you can also take some protein powder as well. And by doing that, like 5 times a day, your calories, like around 400 calories for one small meal uh, before training, and then after training, have some snacks, and then after having some snacks between meals, after that, take some fruits. Yeah, they've mentioned go for whole food, white fruits, uh, berries, then some nuts, which are really rich in protein. And sometimes I eat tofu snacks like tofu dessert. And for the lunch, go heavy on that carbs and protein between that snacks as well. After snack, 2 hours after, do the training. After the training, go for that recovery. So hopefully that answers the question that can really provide and also uh, maintain that weight because I know weightlifters needs to maintain their weight. Um, like me, before going vegan, my weight was around 62 kg. But now, doing plant-based and then I'm training, by going that kind of setting of my meal intake, I still maintain my weight around 62 kg. Hope that answers the question.
Russ, thank you for being very specific about your question and providing more details. And I think that the fact that the athlete we're talking about has diabetes is a very important detail that we cannot ignore. I think that way before we try to consider the protein requirements of an athlete, if an athlete has a disease that can kill him early, or that can affect his recovery, or that can give him blindness and kidney disease and heart disease and any other kind of disease that can actually affect not just his athletic performance, but his overall lifespan, we need to discuss this. And this needs to be addressed by a health professional. So, my recommendation would be for this athlete to consult a vegan doctor. So, we have lifestyle medicine practitioners here in the Philippines. These are licensed Western medicine doctors. So, if the athlete lives in the Philippines, you can check them out. A lot of them are at Adventist Hospital in Pasay. So, this athlete in question live in the Philippines? Well, anyway, so wherever you are in the world, if if you can find a lifestyle medicine practitioner, please, Indonesia, okay. Uh, I'm not sure if you can find a lifestyle medicine practitioner in Indonesia, but I would recommend finding a vegan doctor who can address this because, believe it or not, a lot of specialists who are not aware of plant based nutrition might not even be aware that there are studies right now showing that it's not just sugar that we should watch out for when somebody has diabetes. It's actually animal products because these are the ones that eventually trigger the kind of process that leads to hyperinsulinemia and insulin tolerance issues. So please ask this athlete to consult a doctor way before we worry about the protein requirements because I think that's a threat to his health more than whether or not he's meeting his protein demands.
So, Pinoy Athletics is out. We have another question here from Aliana Halagana. Yeah, did I mention it right? Um, Hi, I am an athlete, race walker, and I compete and train for 5K, 10K distances. I've been eating plant-based food for almost 2 years now, and I haven't been taking any supplements. I feel okay. I feel good, but some people say that I might need B12 supplements. Do I really need to take it, or is it okay since I don't feel like I am lacking anything?
He's not responding.
So,
I think that was addressed by Doc Steph already, because of course of the quality of our soil. Now, I think we just go ahead and just take the supplement,
Terry.
whether you're vegan or you're not vegan.
Terry.
Is anybody interested in going vegan now? I wonder. I would like to ask the question. Is there anybody who would like to go vegan? If there's anybody interested, just leave a comment in the chat and we can point you in the right direction.
go vegan.
It's not as hard as you think, I swear. You know, I've never been on any kind of deprivation or calorie deficit diet ever in my entire life. But going vegan is easy for me because I stopped seeing animals as food. So when I see something on the table that I know comes from animals, to me it just doesn't feel like food anymore. I know it's not an object. I know it used to be the body part of a living, breathing animal who had his own quirks, own personality, own preferences, a desire to live, a desire to be free. And I think that's one way of ensuring that you can actually live on a vegan, live as a vegan, to not see animals as objects. Once that clicks in your mind, it just becomes easy. I swear it doesn't require discipline. There is no willpower involved. As soon as you see animals as persons, it becomes easy. I swear. It's not as hard.
So I'm actually in that kind of transition right now. Uh, by going vegan, it's like being quite aware of the environmental impact that we are currently doing to our community. Um, the number one cause of what global warming right now is due to our agriculture. So yeah, I just dropped a commentary again about the conspiracy and also about the what the hell, like it's a complete eye opener that we should be really responsible not only to ourselves but also to our community. Um, yeah, if you have time, I would really suggest you all watch that one. That could really give you a very brief intro to veganism. I know that some um, vegans are quite radical, but for me, it's quite hard to really push um, anyone to go vegan directly. I would suggest do it step by step. If you want to go vegan, um, you have to have a commitment to yourself that, of course, in the long run, it's all for you. Um, Not only for you, it's also for good for your family. If you eat healthy, as one of the benefit that you can get from being vegan is mortality. Um, you have longevity, I guess. A certain percentage of that, you can get a better chance to live longer um, due to avoiding those kind of major diseases that I mentioned in my presentation. And yeah, as a whole, what gives advantage to you? Go for it. If it doesn't really hurt you, why not take a chance, right? So yeah, I would love to see a comment in the chat section that go vegan. It's like anything for once, twice. So are there any more questions?
Okay, so yeah, so I guess that's all the questions for tonight. Now early morning here in Australia. So I guess we'll wrap this up. So again, thank you to everyone who attended. Thanks to our speakers, Ronnie, Steph, Stephen, and Air Hanayas for their time. And yeah, so again, anyone who, like, this is just going out to our viewers, anyone who missed this, what is now around a 3-hour presentation on the benefits of plant-based diets for athletes and performance. The video is available on Pinoyathletics page. I'll probably put it up on YouTube in the next day or so, so it can be reviewed or viewed there. I also put up a article just with a summary of speakers up on pinoyathletics.info, so that can also be referred to. Yeah, so next track talk will probably be on Thursday or Friday. It's rather tentative. These things are rather tentative at the moment. You know, it basically depends on my availability. It's been pretty busy recently, and it also depends on being able to get speakers, which is very difficult during the COVID, and also subject matter, which will not really just subject matter that I think's good, but you know, subject matter that, like tonight, not that I personally just think is good, but also subject matter that, you know, the wider athletic and sport community will actually tune into. I mean, there was a decent attendance tonight, decent viewership, so, and a good amount of viewership. So yeah, it's more about choosing the niche or the topic that the community will want to be engaged in as well, which is really important. You know, when we do these things, as they, you know, they do take time. Anyway, again, thank you to our speakers and to all the people that tuned in tonight, and we'll see you again next time. Yep. So.
Thank you, Enzo.
Yep. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for everybody who
Thanks.
listened in.
All right.
Yes, everyone. Go vegan.